a big sigh as it picks up the phone. It's like, oh, and then you sound dead. Why would anybody call anyone back if you're starting the call like that? So listening back is a key thing. Listening back to those voicemails and phone calls, because you can learn a lot from listening to the phone calls. A lot.
Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, difference makers, and welcome to the podcast. Today, you are so lucky because you have me, Jeanine, and Steve Saporito.
Just the two of us, Jeanine.
Just the two of us.
So romantic.
Just the two of us. We can make it if we try.
So what's on for today, Jeanine?
Today, Steve, we are talking about the silent killers in your business, habits that could be destroying your sales.
Wow.
I know.
And we only have how long to do that one?
I know. We have like 20-ish minutes to do this. It could be a much longer topic, but it's an important one. It's an important one because it's habits in general in life, but definitely when you're a business owner, things that you fall into and habits you fall into, and then, my New York came out for a second. Habits that you fall into, and then you realize that you don't have the sales that you're wanting, you don't have the revenue that you had set your goals for, and you don't know why. And then when you start looking at these things, you're like, oh, it's because of me.
It's funny because, when you're coaching different studios, you hear this all the time where, oh, they're just so lucky. They're in a much better area than I am. Of course, they have clients that will spend more. And of course, they have clients over there. We get it too. Actually, I got it today where somebody said to me, oh, but they're in America. Americans just love photography and they spend on photography. And, people in the UK won't do that. But the reality is we've got lots of clients who have thriving businesses in every country. It doesn't matter where you are. The reality is that a lot of the times it's us.
Yes.
Which is great because that puts us in control.
It does put us in control. So you should be happy listening to this podcast because when you can admit that it's you, yourself and you can change that. You can't change maybe where you live, but you can change your habits.
Yeah. With the whole, let's deal with the whole where I live because customers in my area don't spend money. It's funny how, not funny, but I did a few fired for a month, and that was the biggest story people were telling me, that in my area I don't have the right clients. And yet when I went in and took over, the demographics must have instantly changed, Jeanine, because we went from people not spending money to, when we changed our mindset, changed our procedures and really focused on the clients, in most cases, we made more money in a month than what had been made in a whole year. And so that whole theory that clients in my area don't spend sort of dissolved because once we put in all of the systems in place, people were spending. And it was just that we weren't letting them spend. So what do you think is the biggest thing you see?
Oh, the biggest thing I see, hands down, people avoiding the phone.
Yeah.
They
it's
do
amazing
everything.
How much time people spend just avoiding.
I see my own team do it. They get in and they know that we all know what we're supposed to do first thing in the morning. And then I find I need to straighten up some more trash that's more than normal. Or, there's a light bulb I need to fix. Or, it could be this little thing. I'm like, shouldn't you be calling such and such a client right now? But even I do it sometimes too, right? And I actually love the phone, because I know that when I make phone calls, we make money. But sometimes I'm not even in the right frame of mind to make a phone call. Like if I do all of the, my goal is to do 5 client calls a day, like reaching back to clients that might not have been in for a while, or even just our VIP clients. If I notice something happening on Facebook, like their kid won a soccer tournament, I'll ring them up and be like, "Oh my gosh, I saw Kason won his soccer tournament. Congratulations!" And just to stay in touch. And I will sometimes find myself, "Oh, I need to check my email some more," or and it's so we all do it. And so it's avoiding the phone, but the phone, Steve, it makes us the money.
Well, it's how we build connection.
Yeah,
It's
we have to connect.
a doorway to building connection, which is what photography is about. It's about building connections with people. The one thing you said, Jeanine, I think is gold, is that you have a goal of 5 to connect with 5 people. And I think that's a killer in that people don't have a goal of how many clients they're going to connect with. A lot of people sometimes have a goal of getting through the leads or calling some people. But you were specific. You said, I want to connect with 5 people. And that's very different to connecting with some people. No, sorry. This is what we tend to hear a lot of. I'm going to try to connect with 5.
Oh, yes.
Try to connect with some people.
Yes. And then we can go all Yoda on them. Try not, must do.
Yes. So I think having that clear goal of connecting with people rather than, you've got your 5 people that you want to connect to, and you've been specific. You want to connect with your current clients, those people that are already loyal clients, because they're the easiest people to get on board. And I think that's another big sales killer, is that everyone seems to be chasing the next brand new client and not inviting their loyal, tried and proven clients back, finding reasons,
right,
or keeping interest in what's happening in their lives, so then we can invite them back and have those people that are already educated, already had great experiences with us. Why wouldn't we give them the first opportunity for another session with us and to celebrate something different in their lives?
Yeah, absolutely. I actually prefer it. It's so funny. I'm the opposite. I prefer photographing existing clients, and I'm with new clients. I'm like, I got to get to know them. I'm the opposite, right? I love, and I'm always seeking out ways to bring my existing clients back. It's just what I prefer. So anyways, but yeah. Oh, and it's interesting, Steve, too. Not only are people avoiding the phone with habits, they're putting in systems to avoid the phone. So like I've heard photographers that we've coached and mentored, you guys are going to be so amazed. I found this cool new program that can book people in automatically, and it'll put them on the calendar, and they can pick a time and schedule a time, and it'll send them all the emails. And I don't have to see them or talk to them until they come into the studio for the first time.
And they're so excited.
And they're so excited about this. And then they want to know why their sales aren't very high. They've made no connection.
No. And they're the ones that drop off, reschedule, don't turn up, or turn up and not spend any money.
Right. I'm all about automating things to get things done. Yeah. But not in avoidance of having at least a phone call, a discovery call to connect with your client that's coming in. You have to.
I think these days everything is becoming so automated that as humans we are craving humans to connect with. And I don't think this is something that you can automate at all.
I don't think so either.
Now, some time ago, Jeanine, I introduced you to the call conversion sheet.
Yes.
Do you remember that?
I do remember that.
And I think this is another killer where people are not measuring their numbers on every aspect of their business. And the call conversion sheet is all about tracking what are the critical times in your business where for your avatars, what are the times that clients tend to pick up, and monitoring that. So then that way, as it shifts, because it will, you're aware of it and on track with it. So talk to me about that implementation of the call conversion sheet, which is download for all our members. It's downloadable.
Yes, it is downloadable for all of our members, and everyone should be using it. It's interesting. We notice trends quite frequently. One of the big ones is callbacks. And so when the girls, because I have two girls on the phone plus me, because I make phone calls too. But when I start seeing that, I've made 30 calls out and we're not getting calls back. I've left 30 voicemails.
Yeah.
And no one's calling back. I'm like, why is no one calling back? Usually we'll have at least 5 or 6 call back that day. And then I go and listen to the voicemails and I'm like, you guys sound horrible. Like, it's depressing. I wouldn't call you back either. Or they talked too fast that even like a lot of people get the text transcribe of the voicemail and they muddled it so much that I'm sure the text transcribe would not make any sense either. Right. So like several reasons. But if we didn't track calls out, calls in, voicemails returned, I would never know that. I would just accept that, they're never getting anybody on the phone, So callbacks was a big one. And it's something that we track often, like every day, to see how many calls are coming back in. Because a lot of times you're going to get voicemail the first call,
Yep.
And then we also we're tracking the repeat calls, right? So like, if Betsy's calling in the morning and then Allie's calling in the afternoon, what times are people picking up? And that's the beauty of that call tracking sheet is it tracks the times. And so you can see your highest percentage time of people picking up the phone.
And has that made you allocate your day?
Yeah, it made us change our day. So like Betsy had to shift her lunchtime. So, she was taking a traditional, I'm going to eat my lunch at 12 o'clock. And so she would take a little break and go and eat her lunch. And
which, she has to, and she's entitled to that.
She's entitled to eat. Yes, I'm not a slave driver. I'm not making people work 8 hours without food, even though I do. But that's okay. That's a different story.
You're a business owner. You're meant to work.
Yeah, I'm a business owner. I'm allowed to work myself like that. Anyways, we started noticing like there was a couple of days where she ended up calling at noon, or we noticed that. I can't remember exactly how it happened. Either she made some calls at noon and people were picking up, or people were calling back at noon. And it made me realize it was people calling back at noon. I think that really triggered it. And so people were calling during their lunch hour. And I'm like, hello, that's obvious. Betsy, you need to shift your lunch because we need to be able to talk to people when they're on their lunch hour if we want to connect with them during the business day. And a lot of our clients are working professionals, right? Our moms are typically working moms. And so they're going to be working during the day and they can't have conversations in depth on the phone at their place of business unless it's on the way to work, their lunch hour, or on their way home, right? So there's definite peaks of windows for working professionals and when you can get them on the phone. So you have to make yourself available during those peak call times. Yeah.
And that boosts those conversions because otherwise then it goes to voicemail and the phone tag.
Right. The phone tag begins. And it's interesting because we had, before I got Allie on the phone in the evenings, right? So she now makes calls from 5 to 7. We would consistently have people tell Betsy, I need a call back after 5. And Betsy's like, well, I don't work after 5, And I'm like, so then I was making calls from home. And so it's like, man, we've got to fix this problem. If people want to have conversations in the evening, we have to have someone making phone calls in the evening. We can't just say, sorry, we have nobody to talk to you at that time. Are you sure you can't talk at 11 when it's convenient for us?
Yeah.
So, and I do think that's it's interesting, Steve, because I get a lot of inspiration from my hairstylist. Actually, he runs 11 salons now. He's up to 11. And every time I go sit and talk with him, I always get a lesson in business, much like talking to you, right? So every time I sit in his chair and he does my hair, which you wouldn't be able to know right now, I'm in the process of moving, so my hair is in a ponytail for like 7 straight days. But early on, he made a comment to me, and he's like, we are in a service business. He's like, I like to think of myself as an artist, as a hair artist, and he's like, but we are doing hair for people, and people who can pay us have jobs. Right? And so he's like, so many of my hairstylists, they don't want to work on weekends. And they're like, Roy, we can't work on weekends because that's when we're with our friends. And that's when we're with our family. And he's like, but the hairstylists that get it realize that they make more money on the weekends. And so he's like, my top stylists work Saturdays and Sundays because that's when the top paying clients are free and available. He's like, so we're free and available when our clients are free and available. We don't have this, oh, I only like banker's hours, right? Like I only do things during these hours. Because we're like people don't have to come to us. We're not like the dentist, like so so anyways, it was very interesting. And so as soon as that's one of the reasons why we do Saturdays, and it's a very busy day of the week for us. And that's why we make calls in the evening, because people are available in the evening to pick up the phone. So so we don't avoid it. And when and I see so many photographers who are like, oh, well, they can only be called I guess they're not my client.
Yeah. They're not calling me back.
They're not calling me back.
They were never my client.
Not
because
my
we
client.
weren't there to pick up the phone half the time. I was the same. I had an A team and a B team, and my A team, they were on prime time. When those clients, those professionals are coming in, that's when I want my A team on. And I was better off giving them an extra day a week off
Mm-hmm.
to allow them to work prime time, because that's when the best clients are coming in, and I need my A team on when they're on. So absolutely. But I think, what you said before, tracking, physically tracking when are people picking up and using the call conversion sheet, it's eye-opening. The other thing you mentioned, and I didn't draw attention to it, and I just realized you said it, is that you went back and listened to the voicemails. And I think that's something that a lot of people don't do. When I'm coaching, they're blaming the clients or blaming the ad that people aren't picking up the phone or returning. Physically listening back to the recordings, and if you're using the engine, you can record record the calls, because it's true. Sometimes it just sounds like you're talking to a machine,
Right?
And I've heard, when I'm listening back, a big sigh as it picks up the phone. It's like, oh, and then you sound dead. Why would anybody call anyone back? If you're starting the call like that. So listening back is a key thing. Listening back to those voicemails and phone calls, because you can learn a lot from listening to the phone calls. A lot.
I was gonna say too, Steve. Another, you had mentioned people not showing up. And that's a big number to pay attention to, because it's systemic. And I think oftentimes people are like, oh, I had a client not show up. They were sick. They were this. It's the economy or whatever. And they just blame all these outside sources and stop paying attention to that percentage of the people who are either rescheduling or no showing.
Yeah.
And that is a big number to pay attention to. Obviously, there's going to be a certain percentage. It's going to happen. But you need to figure out what that acceptable percentage is. And if it goes above, it's got to be a red flag.
Yeah. And it comes in waves. I think, you've got a team, I had a team, and I had a team of 15 people. And so I used to track per person, and it amazed me how, when I don't want to use people's names.
Yeah, no, I know.
There was a certain person. I think she gave people diseases over the phone, because everybody she booked in, they were all sick just before the session. And so it really did highlight to me that it's not so much that people are sick, they'll use that excuse, but if they're not excited enough to come in, they tend to call up saying that they're sick. And so it was pretty insane that the same people were getting or booking in lots of people that would get sick just before the session. Or something happens in their life where, they're not, something happens, and stuff happens. We're humans. stuff happens in our lives, and suddenly everyone around them is getting sick, and they're just coming up with a reason not to come in. So listening back to those calls is important for that, I think. And then let's not forget the no sales. It seemed to happen with the same people again. So it's really important that we really track those no sales and what's really happening. And I think there's a lot of people that are not recording their sales. We need to have a sign in the sales room and record them, because a lot of the time there are so many things that people are doing that sabotage our sales. Simple things like, well, I was listening to one today, and the client that she brought the client into the room was really welcoming, great tonality, really excited to show them the photos, but started going through every option of what's available even before the client saw a photo. And her words were, "So what do you want to do with all these photos?" And at that point, the client hadn't seen the photos.
Yeah.
And it was just confusing. I listened to another one today too, where somebody was sat down, did the slideshow. The client was excited. Everything was going really well. And then the next step was, she said, "Okay, now, as you can see, there are a lot that are very similar." So what does that say?
Oh, yeah.
Right? To the client. She goes, "Let me bring the first 6 up, because really they're pretty similar."
Oh.
And so what the message we're sending to a client when we're putting up multiple photos up on the screen is delete. Right? Now, they will tend to delete everything but one when you do that. So if you put 3 up, they'll delete 2. If you put 4 up, they'll delete 3. If you put 5 up, they'll delete 4.
Yeah.
And so they're following our instructions, but we don't know what expression the clients are going to be attached to. How do we know that to a client, a small difference in expression says something completely different to that person? And why are we subliminally saying delete?
Delete.
Because when we're asking clients to delete, they start looking for what's wrong.
Yeah.
And start looking for fault. And what we're doing is we're training them to look for what's wrong. And then we wonder why they get really good at it.
Yeah. Well, it's funny if you say that, because back when we used to do it that way, right? Like pre-Steve, and we actually never did it that way, but we still would bring up 2 images, and we wouldn't say which one do you want to get rid of. We would say which one is your favorite, or do you love both, or which one, do you love both? Do you love and we always did it in a positive way, but in a sense, we were still having them either pick both or pick one or whatever. And it was somebody made a comment like, "Oh, I feel like I'm at the eye doctor." Which is better, left or right, And I'm like,
yeah.
I don't want you to feel like you're at the eye doctor. So it was funny because they made that comment, and that's when I was like, well, that's not good.
But I think we're assuming that clients want to get rid of stuff,
Right.
rather than assuming that they're going to love it and want to add it to a favorites folder.
Right. They're assuming the negative instead of assuming the positive.
Yeah. And that's a killer. That's a sales
killer. It is a killer. And you can see it too with just assuming what people are going to spend based upon what they look like, how they walk in. There's lots
what
of
car they drive,
what car in a car they drive, how they interact with each other. There's so many, and people have a bias in their mind of who's going to spend and who's going to not, and that is also a silent sales killer.
Yeah,
because you don't know. And I'd love to tell a story, going back way in the beginning, and you hear car salespeople tell these same stories, but I actually had it happen to me. And this couple walked in, and they looked like they had stepped out of the 1970s, right? And they were in a big old pickup truck, and their clothes didn't really go, and And so in my mind, I was like, oh, they're not going to spend a lot of money, you know, but I still, you know, I love people. So I treated them the same as everybody else. And they ended up spending way higher than my average and totally shocked me. And it was a lesson very early on in the studio that I can't make that assumption, because then like a week later, you know, the people driving the expensive cars and dressed to the nines with their Louis Vuitton bags spend nothing, right?
Yeah.
And it's because it doesn't matter what their car they're driving or what they're wearing because it's what they value, right? And so sometimes the people that value all of those things don't value family, relationships. They value things, as opposed to the people who value family don't value things, you know? And so you just don't know. You don't know. And you can't assume by what people are looking like and wearing what they value.
And the reality is, when somebody's looking at a photograph of their child, what they're buying is what they love about their child. And we think that they're buying photos and canvases. The reality is that what they're seeing in their child right now is what they're buying. Like when I get my daughters photographed, I'm buying that relationship that they have with each other. I'm buying what I believe, or who I believe they are, because that's what I want to believe and surround myself with. I'm not thinking about whether that's an acrylic, a canvas, or how well you lit it. It's about whether that makes me feel something.
Right.
And so it's about that emotional connection. And I think we tend to go into that whole logic thing of, you know, and I heard this today in a sale. Once a client finished choosing her photos, says, okay, well, we have all these options. This is a 17-inch. This is a 24-inch. And it was all about the numbers rather than which ones do you love and where would you love to display it?
Right.
Tell me about that room. Where is it going? Is it going above a couch? Where is it going? What furniture is it going above? Okay, it's going above a bed. Describe that bed to me. And then saying, this is the perfect solution for you.
This is the perfect solution.
So asking all the questions that lead to the conclusion, and assuming that they want it, rather than the language was, so what do you think? Did you want something printed?
Did you want this? Yeah.
You know, we've got this 17-inch, we've got the 24-inch, and I heard, this is nearly killed me. This collection on the wall, you know, what you could do is put the main photo in this room, and then, you know, the other 3 photos from the collection you can spread all over the house. It's like, it's a collection.
It's a collection. It
that tells one
together.
story, not a bargain basement that is meant to be split up.
It's like taking scissors to something and cutting it apart. Yeah, no.
Yeah, so it's about, I think, knowing that what clients are buying is that emotional connection and allowing them to feel that and asking them the questions that are going to lead to a conclusion so you can find a solution for them, rather than clients. And I was wondering why, because I asked her to print off how many people walk away and have to think about it. And it was over 50%. And I think it's because of this, because let me go through all the options.
Right. Yeah.
And they're confusing them with 17 inches, 24 inches, 32-inch. Clients don't know what that is.
Right. It's overwhelmed. You're overwhelmed.
Yeah. Whereas if she said, I want to put it above a 3-seater couch, here's the perfect solution for you for a 3-seater couch. Most people know how big their 3-seater couch is.
Yeah.
And assuming that they want it. That's the next thing. Assuming they want it rather than
assuming they don't.
Or asking if they do.
Right.
Like if they're telling you they love something, they're telling you that, you know, what you put together looks amazing, they love it. They're telling you how this celebrates who their daughter is for them. Why would they? The next step is, right?
The next step. Let's write it up.
Finding somewhere that they would love to display it, that matters to them, rather than
So
going
many.
through all the options.
I know. And Steve, I'm looking at this, and it's 30 minutes. We're at that 30-minute mark, and we could continue this podcast so much longer because there are so many silent killing, sabotaging habits that we all have. But I
Yeah.
think that if the listeners listen to what we've talked about today and really hone in on some of these of don't avoid the phone, pay attention to your statistics, your numbers, and when things start going astray, jumping on it right away and listening to calls and listening to recordings, listen to your sales sessions.
It's you, it's us, not the
Yeah.
client.
Yeah. Figure out the problem. Don't just let it ride.
Yeah.
And assume the positive. Don't ask for the negative.
Yeah.
I think if people could look at those three things right away and start really implementing that in their business and start killing those bad habits, they'll see a huge transformation in their studios.
And remember, we're selling emotion. The more transactional this feels to a client, the more they're going to feel like they're being sold to. And a lot of the sales strategies being taught are, if you buy this, you get this free. If you buy this other thing, you get a percentage off this other thing. It's all transactional.
Yeah.
And salesy. Whereas when somebody's buying something because it's going to mean the world to them, if they're buying something because it reminds them of how incredible that child is for them, that's the key. Not that you have to convince them with the price.
That's because people who are doing that are difference makers. And our listeners, if they want to learn how to become a difference maker and truly make a difference in the life of their clients and learn how to kill these sales killing habits, then they should click the link below, Steve.
And join the inner circle.
Join the inner circle. Then they can listen to us along with Ronan and Jonathan every week on our coaching calls and our accountability pods. Work on busting these habits and working on making our businesses even stronger so that we can make a difference in the more lives of more people. Oh my gosh, I can't talk.
And not just download the checklist, but use the checklist.
Use the checklist. Yes.
Makes a massive difference.
Oh, it does.
Well, that was great. Thanks, Jeanine.
Thank you, Steve. And I hope everyone got a great... Yeah, I know. Click on that link. And we'll see you next week on the podcast. Bye for now.
Bye for now.